Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Yes, it is undeniable that Osun State still remains the most peaceful and safest state in the Federation, because when you look at it from the historical background, you discover that the state is where many people usually think about coming to work to have their rent. And just a few hours ago, the story was challenged by some unscrupulous elements in the state, whereby some people's lives were named while some people were attacked. But we thank God that everything is the normalcy has been restored, because our governor, His Excellency Ademola and Deleke in the state, who always say that let us keep calm and let peace be and just life. And we are about to review it, because this is the purpose of in the newsroom to explain what happened then, what are the circumstances and the effects of that incident, so that we can learn from what happened in the past and use it to justify what is happening and use it to profess what is going to happen in the future. I have with me two, we can say they are scholars, because they are teachers and they are assist teachers, and professionally people know them as journalists. Brother Tito, how are you, sir?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Our Deputy Director, Mr. Sandy, how are you?
I say good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on what happened in Osun State yesterday.
Thank you. Okay, let us take it from my brother Tito. Yes, because your own hometown was among the affected victim yesterday. Then when you heard the story,
was his hometown affected?
Yes. They were part of the victim. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm listening to your question.
Everybody was involved. Then, how did you see when you hear from the house yesterday?
You see, as you rightly said, the peaceful atmosphere in Osun State was challenged yesterday. And there's no way we can talk about the threat to the peace that enveloped, the mantle of peace that enveloped the state before now, without actually looking into the causes. But before we look into the causes, during the days, the first time Osun State was involved in something of a crisis like this was during the days of Chief V.C. Akabi, when the State House of Assembly attempted to impeach him, needing only one vote. And the only vote that saved V.C. Akade from being impeached there was that of one Honorable Alikete Yushu from Obobo local government, actually from the South. And it was a serious crisis, but it was quickly nipped in the bud by the police. If it had been allowed to snowball into something else, then Osun State would have started on a note of crisis. And later, and apart from that, Osun has not been embroiled in any form of crisis until yesterday, when, you see, we should take a review of our laws in this country, in the sense that why are the judiciary coming up with ambiguous pronouncement on a case, to the extent that two sides started to misinterpret same content, same judicial content, in different ways. The APC is twisting it to its own favor. The PDP is tilting it towards its own advantage too. And when, according to this Chinua Achebe said the center cannot hold when
things fall apart.
When things fall apart. So things fell apart yesterday. many people rose up to the hearing of gunshots, which is very, very rare in Osun State. Except we want to deceive ourselves. Politically, Osun people are matured because they have been into politics since the pre-colonial days. And they have Osun has been, this area that we now call Osun State has not been embroiled in any major crisis directly, except the days of the wet here, which permeated the whole of the southwest. But this one is particularly Osun, and it was because of the fact that a single judgment, a single judicial pronouncement by a judge was interpreted in multiple dimensions. It was capable of multiple interpretation. The APC, the PDP are seeing it from different angles, and up to this moment, it is still being resolved.
Now let me go to Sunday. A statement from the former governor of Osun State, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, says that I didn't ask the sacked yes or no chairmen and councillors to resume to council. My statement was twisted. Then, with the interpretation that today quoted about the pronouncement of the court, can we say that this is not clear with the statement made by the leader of this party?
Well, let me begin with how do I put it? It's what happened yesterday was a very sad situation, quite regretful. And Yoruba says, "Bí ilé kan wá ń tòrò, máa rí ibẹ̀ ní ìdàgbà." That is, in a situation whereby the family is well settled, no crisis, it's only the bastard among them that is
still young.
That is still young.
People are not ready to foment trouble.
Osun for long has been very peaceful. Even during when APC was in opposition, we did not witness things of this nature. But now APC is in opposition. Look at what we witnessed yesterday. And just like my colleague has said, as far as I'm concerned, judiciary is to be blamed. How will you give a judgment without giving them the clue to that judgment?
Without being specific.
Without being specific. If it had to be any one of us, we choose it to the area that favors us. But it's quite regrettable. Majority of those who are twisting this they understand the law. Specifically, it was not, the judgment did not say that you should go back to.
No embassy.
You should go back to your
government.
To the office. And you are saying you have to go on what premises? Remember that there was a particular government that sacked the elected local government.
Yes, sir. Judgment.
Yes, it was a judgment that sacked the local government, either yes or no. That is not our own to prove. But they have been, the election was regarded as null and void. But the judgment was not appealed then.
Yes.
But be that as it may, it does not mean that you should. The latest judgment does not mean that you should force your way into the office. Yes. This is unlawful. This is what I may call unlawful take over of government.
And it's not an
No,
attempt.
but I want
On the question you are putting the former governor, yeah, he said his statement.
yes, I didn't
was
ask the
twisted.
sad yes or no chairman and councillor to resume answer. My statement was twisted.
Then we asked him a lot of questions.
Okay.
One, why did he make any statement at all?
Or which statement?
And two, what statement did he make to warrant being twisted? Did he not give it a thought before
Another
uttering
ambiguous
that
statement.
this thing may be twisted? Look, when you are as a political leader, you don't just make statements. Statements were not made flippantly or carelessly.
Whatever a leader says,
Whatever a leader says stands. It carries a lot of weight. It can be translated. It can be twisted into different ways. Babangida said, "I am stepping aside." Stepping aside may mean a lot of things. And we all saw the consequence of his stepping aside, replacing himself with a civilian stooge. And before the man was kicked out by the real successor to Babangida, which now continued the illegal the policies of Ibrahim Babangida. Look, when you make a statement as a leader, it carries weight. It is better to keep quiet and advise your people. Look, there are ways of carrying out judgment if it was declarative, if the judgment was direct. Even if the court says so house should be demolished, it should not be done immediately.
It's going to be passed to the executive.
even there is window for another court.
The judge will leave it.
Go to another court.
The court gives you room to appeal. Even if when the judgment is complicated or it is doubtful, you go to the court for interpretation. Those are the windows left by our law.
The pronouncement of the court is not bad. That is
No,
how they transact
the pronouncement of the court itself is ambiguous.
It's ambiguous.
It's not illegal.
No, but
we are not talking about
it's
legality.
it is not our own to say whether it is
we are not talking about legality or otherwise.
Illegal. But the pronouncement is ambiguous. Be that as it may, the opposition shouldn't have taken laws into their hands to force themselves into office. Now the court has made a pronouncement. If you are not satisfied with that pronouncement, then you go to another court. You did not do that. No, this is a brazen disorder of the law. Look, what I know is that they are writing a script, and it is the ruling party that has to be careful in this respect.
Yeah.
Because if it escalates more than this, then the state will boil. Then we will be at the receiving end.
That is it. Then even when we are talking about peace, we want peace now. The first side want peace, the second side want peace. But we had one opportunity to avoid the peacelessness. You understand? Avoiding it is, you see, the Bible is clear about this. He said, that is, if you keep your mouth shut in some situation, you are ensuring long life, longevity for yourself. There are situations where if you don't keep your mouth shut, one can die prematurely.
The Bible even says tongue is a little member. So depending on the usage of your tongue. So
okay, I want us to look at this one now. That the executive.
So before we go to that, so for Alhaji Oboyega Oyetola to say his statement was twisted, it will be acceptable to some people It may be unacceptable to others. But in this case, why did he make a statement?
Ambiguous statement.
An ambiguous statement.
That is twistable.
The judgment is ambiguous. His own statement is ambiguous.
So the two statements were
okay,
twisted.
let him tell us what he said. No, tell us what you have said. That was twisted. Gentleman, he has a gentleman. He's a gentleman to the core, highly educated, and at least for one to become a governor, one will have experienced politics. Even if he's coming in as a novice, after 4 years, one will have been a master in politics. Even if you are nobody, if you become a local government chairman, under 2 years you become a master in politics. So making statements that are capable of ruining lives, then then why coming up to say it now? Why not saying it when the thing was when it came to a head yesterday? Well, be that as it may, let us forgive ourselves. Let us forgive ourselves and move on as a state. If God says we will be there, nobody will. God will clear the way. And if God says you won't be there, God will make it complicated. There's no way you can do it. Okay, many people have attempted to become governors.
The act of those who went to bombard the local government. Some people describe the act as acts of bandits or some unscrupulous people, not as a listener, as the move of good politicians.
What
Can we describe them as lawbreakers?
There's no softened way of describing their act. Call it banditry, call it forceful takeover of government, call it radicalism, call it gangster. That's the only way it could be described. Their action was not a gentleman action yesterday. They should know that only God gives power to whoever he wants. They want the power by all means, but but if God says it, they will go back to their seats. Well, but from what I'm seeing, it's not likely it happened. It's only the ruling power, the ruling party that has to be very careful, because one of the opposition members was saying on the national TV yesterday that that the best way that this thing can be handled is probably declaring a state of emergency. But if the opposition, if the ruling party is very careful, it will not degenerate more than what we are witnessing.
Yes,
if they want to face them force by force, if they want to square it up with them by force, what we are witnessing will be very bad.
Okay, but let me just start chipping this thing. We have seen military administration, we have seen many governors in the past that you can never play with them in such a manner whereby somebody just gang up to say that they want to hijack the government election. Then, how can you describe this our governor? But for allowing it happened yesterday, then the things is allowed to lie like that. Can we say that it's too gentle?
The governor, his position as the governor in a crisis period like this requires certain things. It requires action. It requires gentleness. It requires some measure of
civility.
I want to say, I want to know diplomacy. It has to be diplomatic at some point. And as I speak to you, I know the government must have made some moves to make sure that the tension is finally down. But let's look at it. Ìyá odó àtọmọ odó ò ní jà o, iṣu ló dáa. Tíṣu ò bá dáa, ìyá odó àtọmọ odó will exist, coexist. Yes. There will be no problem. But the judiciary that made an ambiguous judgment. Look, if somebody is guilty of armed robbery, you won't say it should, even if you say it should be
imprisoned.
It should be imprisoned, they will say for so number of time, about a period of time. I mean, if it's to be executed either by firing squad or by hanging,
there will be a reason for that.
So it will be defined. But this one is not defined.
Today, I want us to be very careful at that. I think that judiciary, they have their style of presentation. Therefore, we are the one who understands to be ambiguous. You have said it sometimes ago that if they don't understand the ambiguity of the statement,
they should go to
the court. Okay, let me now just invite one of our guests, Mr. Falabi Abdulfatai. Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, with respect to what happened yesterday, how will you describe Osun State of yesterday and Osun State before yesterday?
Literally, before I speak, please, I just want to let me just say kind of a word of sympathy to both parties, because Osun State has been known to be a kind of peaceful state for a very long time, and even when other states are witnessing the kind of hostility as far as politicking is concerned, Osun has been relatively peaceful. But be as it may, we know that even the tongue and the teeth has been living in peace for existence for a very long time. Sometimes they still fine. But the violence in Osun, if I have to talk about it, as far as my own observation is concerned, it's not maybe we just say we want to actually blame the party A or blame the party B. Honestly speaking, I think the element of writing judgment by Nigeria judiciary should have been a kind of presented in such a way that a layman who is not a legal practitioner should be able to know what the judiciary is saying. You know, the end product of any litigation is just manifestation of objective of this litigation, rather than, you know, is based on logic and other elements, laws, constitution, and other things put together. Then okay, this is what we conclude, this is what we arrive in. But it's not meant for only lawyers. It's not meant for judges alone. It's meant for the entire public. Yeah. So somebody that studies accountancy, somebody who is a mechanic on the roadside, who can read and write, supposed to be able to say, okay, this is what judiciary is saying. If I have to give you an example, understand, let me just make this analogy for all of us to understand. Let's assume that, let me just pick a kind of nomenclature that will not show the biasness. Okay, let's say there is a party called NRC now, which is defunct, okay, and let's say SDP. Okay, SDP and NRC are fighting, right? Okay, SDP has been on seat, NRC want to come forcefully, and the member of NRC are killing the SDP members. And then you, as a judge, you pronounce a statement that let us maintain status quo. What is status quo here? It means the SDP should remain on the seat, and NRC should keep killing the SDP. So that is status quo. But for them as a legal practitioners, is they see it that okay, let it be as it is. So an average Nigerian who doesn't really understand the legal terminology, we just see it like that. So what I'm trying to say is this: the report is not complete if everybody cannot understand. So if Yoruba has an analogy, they said, am I free to speak Yoruba?
Yeah.
Yes. If you could be a judge, so you must not be biased or be afraid of giving each his due. If you are right, okay, this you are right. If you are wrong, you are wrong.
Mr. Fatai, you remember that judges are not journalists. Journalists should be able to communicate to everybody, while judges are to pronounce the final judgment. Therefore, they are right to practice their own
Look,
they are not.
What
he's
trying to say
is addressing the matter.
He's
addressing the matter.
That the judgment should be made in a plain language that everybody
should understand. It should not be capable of multiple interpretations.
What happened yesterday, as far as I am concerned, was caused by the judiciary.
That is the
summary of it.
And we all agree. 3 of us are saying the same thing. Look at this word. He called me a fool. Or I say, call me a fool. Then I may say, there's somebody who is a fool somewhere, go and call him. Or refer to me as a fool. Which one do we take? Can you see the ambiguity?
Okay, let us now address the people who are being used for machination of this evil. How will you address it? Starting from the
victims.
There
are some people who have no job. You see, when you don't have a job, you will be available for any kind of thing. My father would say, people like that are apostolic to any crusade. When you are apostolic to any crusade, it means you can answer any call, especially in the face of joblessness and idleness, slothfulness. A person who has no job, who has nowhere to go, who is sleeping at home, waiting for opportunities to make 100 naira, 200 naira per day. When the opportunity comes, from whatever source, he won't hesitate to take the opportunity. That's what happens. That's what happens. On both sides. You see, until we stop having political talks in this country, until it is outlawed, this kind of thing will always happen. It is all over the country. It has started during the days of the Action Group, NCAC, and so on. And it remains. Where in the Constitution is it stated that a political party must have a set of thoughts? Where? But there are some people who have given themselves up to that kind of
political class
of that kind of assignment, that kind of inglorious assignment.
Even some political parties, they recognize the talks than the security, official security.
That is it.
So because they are making use of them to perpetrate evil, and it's because they don't understand that they are making use of them. How many of their children can behave the way they are behaving? It's quite pathetic. It's the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria.
Joblessness.
And just like it was, a wise saying that an idle hand
is the devil's workshop.
It's because how do you expect somebody who has a job, who understands his future, to be following, to be moving along, or to be used by somebody, by another person, whereas you cannot even see their children very close to that environment.
Oh, okay,
so it's the situation we find ourselves in this country.
You enter with showing sympathy to the victims of the incident. Then some of them, they themselves, they went to the field because the government didn't expect them in that period of time. But how can we separate Nigerian politics and thuggery?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And then the question is something that is very explicable. But, Nigeria is a kind of a country that the elite and the poor has a kind of a very similar situation, but in a different manner. Intentionally, the elites does not want the poor. They don't want them to become elites like them, so they can use them in this kind of situation. But all we need is just a kind of sensitization, education, and also to make sure that we eradicate poverty in our land. Because if you see someone who has the potential to meet, you know that, okay, in some days I'll meet up, I'll be like this, some days I want to build a house, or probably you see somebody who has some asset on ground, he will not ordinarily want to go to that kind of a penny. Or that's what. So yeah, but intentionally they decide, let me just say, no, they build Nigeria in such a way that there must be people to use for that kind of assignment. So I don't blame them, because before they come, that is how some of them earn their living. I must confess to you, and you know what the economic situation is saying now. So now it is still centered on the government that you make sure that you eradicate poverty. If there is no poverty, there is no thuggery. If I still want to consolidate on this, I'll talk about the Boko Haram. Because Boko Haram and other insurgent groups, they are trying to meet up with ends meet. It's a kind of way of livelihood, because they know that if I work for party A, I have the potential to even get a motor park as one of garage warlord. So that is it. And another thing that I see that it is one of the things that even make that kind of job so profitable and so prominent in Nigeria is people that have done it in the past. They see how people hail and admire them in the society. Some of them are even much more influential than those people who have more than multiple degrees and some other certificates in the society. So that is my own stake. I still blame that at government of the day. If they try to make people, you cannot see somebody that is well educated in that kind of situation that, okay, I want to be a warlord for a political party. No.
I'm coming to Bogatunde, and in the next few days to come, on Saturday to the president, you'll be on field. Likewise, Sunday will be on the field, either monitoring your voice or reporting from different places.
Everybody,
if at all, you may not know where you are going.
In this situation, everybody is a reporter. Whether you are inside or outside, you have to report.
Okay, are you not shaking with what happened yesterday?
No.
Will you go?
I am a reporter.
That is the job is assigned to.
Let me give you an example. When I was a very corporate reporter with a newspaper called The Republic, in those days, I was a student reporter in Lagos. The Operation Sweep was just inaugurated at that period. So I was to go with some of them. And when we go and people were wrongly arrested, I accosted them. I told them, look, these people are just doing their lawful business. Why do you arrest? And before I know, and I will go to the newspaper, write whatever I have seen. And my editor will put it in the right perspective, put it in the newspaper. Then my editor called me one day and said, look, it's like you like reporting crisis. He said, as a reporter, that is the first thing. In fact, when I was interviewed, they asked me if there is any crisis, would I be able to cover it? I said yes. That is what we are trained to do. So as a reporter, nobody pray for crisis to happen. But when it happens, people must know. And the only way by which people must know, if not because of the advent of the social media, which is a dent on the image of professional journalism, we have our ways of doing the job. And when we do it as professionally as possible, not the wishy-washy way the social media do their own.
Okay,
we have code of ethics that we follow.
Sunday, let me talk to you. Okay, you are a deputy director. You might not be on the field, but you will be at home monitoring as Empire. And then, what advice will you tell the young journalists that you are sending out with respect to either or no any crisis on that?
Well, it is the job we are assigned to do, and we have to do it. That is part of the hazards of this job. All we have to do is to be very careful on the field. That is the only thing. Just be careful on the field.
A journalist on the field is not representing himself.
Of course.
He's representing the organization, he's representing the hapless Nigerians who are in their homes, who want to know what is going on. So, you cannot afford to misinform.
Of course.
You say what you see in the right perspective, and put it in a way that it is simplified, not the ambiguous one that we have been talking about. That all of us have
You know our language is always simple.
our language as journalists is always simple.
Every Dick and Harry, we have to understand it.
That is
not
it.
to give
And that's why I said that that's their own
endless,
style of presentation. It is different from journalistic presentation.
so that you don't just give an endless statement. So that's
Okay, Kola, let's go on the final note. Then what do you think that people should be expecting? We have seen what happened yesterday. Is it not going to translate into what should we be expecting exactly? Should we be expecting peace?
Definitely in Nigeria. If you take a look at the election that has been held in the past, we discovered that violence is something that has always been envisaged. And when something is envisaged, there should be a proactive measure to make sure that you contain violence. Left with me alone, the whole world is envisaging violence about this election. Honestly, I judge it the election that is going to be most peaceful, because even the people that have no business in the polling unit, we have no reason to be there. Even as parents, you have to caution your child who doesn't have a permanent voter's card, please don't go to polling unit. So that's what led me to the issue of thuggery and some other things. It's only people that have the business. Okay, this is what I'm going to do there. I want to go and perpetrate crime. I want to go and cause problems. So those are the people that you can see that, okay, those are the factors that must have been considered by law enforcement agents that, okay, you must have to contain. But I don't see why elections should not be held because of envisaged violence.
Well, in addition to that, the security agents must have to be proactive too. They should try as much as possible to be neutral. So if they do their job professionally, there cannot be crisis.
Yes.
And whoever doesn't have anything to do with the election should
stay away.
Vote and go back to your home. Those who are on the duty to monitor what is going, all political parties have agents there. So they shouldn't end violently if things are done properly.
Okay, this is...
Yes.
I
want to add my own. You see, elections are not designed to start or end violence. Elections are designed to start and end peacefully. Nobody will prepare for any crisis in an election situation. What is there? Vote for your candidate, go back home, and await the result. But in Nigeria, there are a lot of...
say in Africa,
or in Africa, there are ways of turning things upside down in
twisting things.
Yes.
They want to remain in power.
So what we do is, when you after voting, stay there. There will be no way two people will not say anything provocatively that will lead to crisis. People here are so desperate. Some people are not born to caution their mouth. They are not trained to caution their mouth. It is natural in them. So when the two opposing sides are sitting side by side, one is saying, no, please God, let my party win. The other one will say, your party cannot win. And that will be the beginning of crisis. So let's come to the voting center as Nigerians, not as a particular party supporter. Let's vote, go home. Don't let us visage trouble.
If at all, everybody has the right to stay.
You have the right to stay there. If you are stay far away from where election is being held. After voting, you can go and stay somewhere.
And people should not do anything that can cause. I mean, that can
if your party is boycotting, you have no business to come.
You don't have any business to.
Actually, INEC or OZEC, they have their rule of engagement, as the case may be.
Yes.
So you have to maintain certain meter away from the polling unit if only you are observing. After you've casted your vote, so you go and observe from a distance. So when you are observing from the distance, so you can, if you want to actually to checkmate or some malpractice from the electoral officials or party agents, you can see from far. It is a kind of transparent processes that people know that, okay, this is how that's why they revert to this system they are using as an open secret. The only thing that is secret there is only your intention. The party you want to vote for may not known by others, but other activities are very transparent.
And this is a convenient point. We appreciate all the panel on the show today. So, the Deputy Director, thank you very much, Sunday. We appreciate you. Bola Tito, we thank you, Folabi, Abu Fatal. I appreciate you very much. On behalf of the editorial advisor, Motun Rayo Ayubai, and the producer, Oluwatoyin Yusuf, I'm BBC Adijeri Adjori saying bye for now.